Welcome back to Talk of the Town on WHTC, Holland's Cool FM, on WHTC.com, and on the WHTC app for your smartphone. Once again, here's your host, Gary Stevens.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town for this Thursday, August the 6th. It is the first Thursday of the month, which means we catch up with things going on in the city of Holland with its chief executive officer. He is the city manager, Keith Van Beek, on the other side of our table this morning. Keith, good morning. Welcome back, sir.
It's good to be here, Gary Stevens.
Yeah, glad you are with us. If you have a question for the city manager, he'll be happy to answer it at 616-395-1450. Before we talk about things going on in the city of Holland, we lost a leader in our area about a week and a half ago with the passing of Tim Klunder, the city manager of the city of Zeeland.
Yeah. First and foremost, a close friend. So Tim will be dearly missed. I was honored to be able to be at his funeral service and listen to friends and family and coworkers that said spectacular things that I expected about a spectacular man. So Tim will be missed. A lot of great memories and laughs with Tim. So, the best of the best.
Not only that, with all due respect, I will put you in that category. Thorough professional at what he did.
If anyone would compare me to what Tim did, I take that as a great compliment because just a wonderful sense with people. He always kept his eye on that. His job was one of public service, mixed in with all the things that go along with that, right? Honoring the tax dollars that were, that he had a large part in honoring, but also making sure to use that to make his community better. But in the middle of that, he'd always talk about just the person that you were dealing with in that moment. And a lot of times the jobs that Tim did and that I'm involved with, you're dealing with people quite often in a difficult time and kind of the worst moments of their week, of their month, of their year, of their life, and always just to keep that in mind. And Tim just honored people with the way that he dealt with them.
Dealing in stressful situations and did it with grace. And again, I'm going to put you in the same boat because you have done that well since you've taken over as the city manager in Holland.
Well, I appreciate that, but Tim was a colleague, a mentor, and someone to strive to hold myself up to. So I will miss him dearly.
If you have a question about what's going on in the city of Holland, Keith Van Beek is with us, 616-395-1450. Let's get to the phones. Good morning. You're on the line with the city manager.
Yes, good morning. I have a couple questions for you in regard to the two gas stations going up on 24th Street between Waverly and the highway. Last month you said there was a traffic study done. You kind of were vague with that. Do you know when that was done and what kind of volumes are using that stretch of road now? What is your projected number of cars going through when the gas stations are in? And also, will they be widening 24th Street to 5 lanes? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for the call.
Yeah, sir, I appreciate you asking those questions. You might suspect the number of things that come through, and that I'm not the planning director. I don't have those specific answers for you, so I'm going to probably continue to disappoint you with vague answers. But what I will again reiterate is that historically, those two locations have always supported, and then they were in various degrees of, nothing there, but there have always been commercial operations there. And in planning and zoning, and quite frankly, state law, it supports those types of uses there. So when a project goes in, it takes a look at, and they and there's figures that are used basically to take a look at the volume that would be coming in and out. That's as Gary pointed out last time, that's an interesting location because of the proximity immediately to a state trunk line, MDOT. But really what you take a look at then, and that was part of the planning process, is taking a look at right in, right out, left-hand turn lanes, all of those types of things. So there is a left-hand turn lane in the middle of all of those. As you kind of transition, if my memory serves me correctly, that goes into that entire gateway center. So that's part of the analysis that goes into those, and then also continued to be monitored as you move forward if there are changes that are necessary in the future.
Now, keep in mind, the properties have not been purchased yet, and that's probably part of the reason why, Keith thinks it's got to be a little bit vague on this, because the actual transfer of property has not been completed yet, especially with the spoon. And the other thing is once that's completed, then they have to submit it to the Planning Commission. And I'm looking at the Planning Commission's minutes for its upcoming meeting, which will be on the 11th of this month, and it's not on the agenda. So,
yeah, and quite frankly, again, the number of things, I'm not completely sure, Gary, on the status. I thought that those site plans have been through the Planning Commission. I think it's been approved by the Planning Commission, but a project, it's not uncommon that something is approved by the Planning Commission, but for developer, private side reasons, a project doesn't necessarily ultimately happen or not.
Okay, I'm just looking back at past meetings on the... Okay, now we have the site plan for the Casey's gas station on 24th and the Meyer gas station. Now, Casey's would be across the street, and Myers would be at the site of the Old Spoon. That was...
Old timers would say the Casey's would be at the Bill Knapp's.
Yes.
And Myers would be at Denny's.
And it's slated from... It was discussed over on June the 9th. In the Planning Commission meeting. And I have access, and you can have access as well, to the Civic Web site.
Exactly. All that information is in there, and can I call myself an old timer, Gary?
Yeah.
I've had lots of meals in my lifetime at both Bill Knapp's and at Denny's. And navigating the roads in that area. So they have been historically, and potentially now. Wait and see if those gas station projects actually, if they make that investment and go in that location or not.
616-395-1450. Oh, as I was looking, you were answering the question there. Sometimes I get little things here. On the next week's meeting, a 5-story building with parking and commercial space at street level, 4 stories of residential space, 93 West 7th Street. Methinks that's the site of the old Holland, well, now we can call it the old Holland rescue mission.
Yeah, actually, close, but not exactly, Gary.
Okay.
That is actually the property as you transition further west down the hill. Mm-hmm. So it's not, that's something that's been going through the Planning Commission process. It's not the mission building itself. It's just west of that.
Okay, but that's what I was thinking off the top of my head. And I know that there's also been talk about developing the site at the corner of 8th and Pine Avenue.
Correct. The GDK. Mm-hmm. Some people in town call that the GDK block. Mm-hmm. Basically, they are have a proposal that's gone through the Planning Commission and has been approved. That would do that. There was a lot of discussion. I know, and I've heard some because one of the media reports on that had some incomplete information about parking. And just a reminder for everyone out there who may be listening, GDK paid for and reserved parking at the 9th Street parking deck that was always set aside for this final phase of development, exactly as you said, between 8th and 9th, fronting on Pine. So even though they're only as part of this adding, I think it's 17 new parking spaces, it's because they're utilizing parking spaces that they paid for and have been reserved for this development since that parking deck on 9th was approved.
All right, 616-395-1450. If you have a question for the city manager of the city of Holland, Keith Van Beek. I wasn't going to get into planning, but hey,
that's fine.
The call got us going on that. And Waverly and 8th is still blocked off.
Yes, it is.
Now,
people don't like it, but
and I'll tell you, there's going to be some grousing because 8th is going to be blocked between US 31 and Waverly shortly.
Yeah, and really, we're not a brand new town, Gary. Did you know that?
Well, no. Yeah, I know.
So one thing that I think we're lucky with here in town, and I'm sure, and we're always looking to do it better, but because we have such close partnership with the Holland Board of Public Works, which of course does fiber and electric, but in this case they do water and sewer. The streets department from the city and the water and sewer departments from the Holland BPW, we always look out 1, 5, 10 years ahead of time, and we coordinate our projects best we can. And in particular, we're kind of in an extended time. Residents that were in these impacted neighborhoods, 10th Street several years ago, the area just south of Holland High School the last couple years, other cross streets. We are in a phase where we're having to replace very old water and sewer infrastructure. So along Waverly and in the intersection of 8th Street, that is what the BPW is doing there. And as opposed to when you reconstruct a road, that takes a little bit of time, but when you're doing deep water sewer infrastructure, that takes a lot more time. So that's why we are disrupting people's travel patterns for better part of 6 months, and we know that's frustrating for people, but I think obviously too, we need to make sure that water flows and sewer flows also. And that means sometimes you got to fix that stuff.
Okay, quick question. And correct me if I'm wrong. Was there talk about reconfiguring the junction of Waverly and 8th, since you're going to be tearing it up anyway because of the BPW work? Was everyone even thought about maybe putting a roundabout there?
No.
Okay.
Not at Waverly and 8th.
Okay.
And if you think of that intersection, it's at the bottom of two hills. So no talk, and that would not be an ideal place to put in a roundabout.
Okay. I had that in my mind, and I just wanted to make sure. And
you know what, Gary? One thing, can I add a bonus on that? Because I have these discussions, right, with people out and about, and the longer I'm here, the more people know me. So when I'm doing my shopping or walking, people stop me also. What I remind people about too is that while roundabouts are interestingly becoming perhaps more popular or at least of interest to the traveling public, the other thing that people in the city are very interested in and want is walkability and bikeability. And I'll just remind people that roundabouts actually are not particularly kind to pedestrian bicycle traffic, because motorcycle or motor traffic in a roundabout, the whole concept is they slow down, but they're continuously moving, which doesn't provide for the break in traffic for pedestrian and bicyclists to cross. And 8th and Waverly, it just came to mind because we want to make sure that for those up in the Holland Heights area or traveling north-south along Waverly, certainly motorists use it, but also people are walking and biking in that intersection.
Let's get to the phone, 616-395-1450. Good morning. You're on the line with the city manager.
Yeah, I got a question on Bill Knapp's. I thought it was come and go, had it been approved, and it was sold to these new people, and I thought it was going to build I think it wasn't approved.
Yeah, so you're naming another company, which, again, is on the private side of things. So that is my recollection at some point also, that the company Come and Go was kind of in the market and taking a look at that. And as I said earlier, sometimes they even approach and get approvals from the city, but that doesn't always mean, obviously, in this case, that they actually follow through and make that investment. So in this case, you had one company that poked and prodded and did some work but didn't go through, and now you have another one that's doing that same process.
Yeah, the same guy that sold it to these new people. That's why I knew about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm not doubting you may be right there. We don't approve, or quite frankly are involved with private sales of land. It's just when they come in and do a site plan, then we take a look at it from that perspective.
I know there was after the one on Lincoln in 31 too, and Speedway took it over and got it approved.
Yes, that's correct, and I know that that's in construction phase right now.
I appreciate the call because we have to take a break. 616-395-1450. If you have a question for Holland City Manager Keith Van Beek, 616-395-1450. Talking about some of the things going on in the city of Holland for the month of August. One of it is coming up tonight at the Holland Civic Center place. Time to go back to school to a certain extent.
Yeah, I love how in this town we kind of partner and someone's doing a cool event and you say, hey, there's going to be people there anyway, let's collaborate. And tonight is one of those examples. We'll see how the weather holds off, but it is street performers this evening. And at the Civic Center, we have participating organizations. I think it's I Am Academy and Escape Ministries and others, and they're collecting donations for back to school. So encouraging the community that if you have the heart for that, or maybe even if you have some stuff in your house that's still new, and come and get kids ready back. We're close to going back to school, right?
And of course, the BOGO situation, buy one for your kid and get one for this back-to-school initiative tonight, 5 to 7 over at the Herringa Holland Civic Center place. You touched upon the street performers. 2 more weeks left. We go bye-bye. They go bye-bye after next Thursday.
Yeah, it's surprising how fast it goes. I know the Gentex block party is coming up here soon also. So that's a particular big night where a lot of free events Thursday, August 13, especially in the parking lot of the Civic Center. A lot of food and fun. So that's always a big hit. It's some of the largest crowds that we ever have for street performers.
The ice park is not sitting idle. We got some movies coming there.
Yeah, we always get, okay, it's an ice park. What else do you do out there? And I would just encourage, if you're wondering, you probably should just drive by the ice park, because whether it be Velo Kids teaching the youngest of the kids how to run, I guess you would say, on those Strider bikes. Have you seen those, Gary's, without pedals? They're out there the entire summer programming for Velo Kids. We did a partnership where they store a lot of their bikes and their supplies in the building. They call it the wheelhouse. It's where the Zamboni is parked during the winter. So we're thrilled to have that partnership with them. And in this case, starting on Friday, August 28th, we have several nights, Friday nights in a row, where there are movies at the ice parks. So family-friendly movies. So come check it out.
And, of course, speaking about bicycles, the bike park is still in a work in progress a little bit north of here.
Yeah, I was able to drive by it and see it yesterday. I know that we are in the final week's home stretch, and we'll get that opened. And I just remind people, you probably heard about it. This was phase one, so the city committed to and funded this initial phase. But Velo Kids, the nonprofit, is doing significant fundraising and has future phase that they want to put in next year. So you can check out more information on that if you search Velo Kids.
Now, we're talking about projects. Pretty soon we should start seeing some of the bricks from the Tropic House start to be put up at the at Centennial Park.
Yeah, a lot of projects going on right now, particularly in parks. So figuring out exactly when we're going to do that transition. We've finalized all the entire process. So Evergreen Commons will be securing kind of the decades old deal where they'll have that triangle piece, and then we'll put up the Tropical House in Centennial Park.
And that, yeah, maybe by, have it up to a certain extent by not, I don't know whether or not it probably won't be done by the fall.
Yeah,
it might be like spring next year.
We'll see. Sometimes right now we find more of that. Arranging contractors to do specialty work like that is sometimes more difficult than you would think, Gary. So we just need to bid that out and get a contractor. And sometimes exact timelines, under promise, over deliver. So I'm not going to give an exact timeline on when we're going to get that done.
We'll see what happens. And of course, last night we've had the story on our webpage. Matt Van Dyken mentioned the fact about another step in the process of getting that rec center built.
Yeah, excited about that one. And quite honestly, that's between the bike park and that one, that's got our focus right now. There will be some final council actions in the coming weeks to do that. Plan would be that we would start doing some earthwork out there yet this fall, and then put out the full bid packages for the entire project, so that this fall, winter, spring, we're going to be going full guns and get that project going.
Did I hear him right saying maybe next, by the end of next year it'd be done? That'd be a great hope. I didn't know. I didn't put it in the story because I didn't know if I heard him right. That's why I was a little bit surprised.
So we're, kind of the same thing, Gary. Like there's approvals that need to be done and bid packages that go out, but we're getting closer and closer where we can be more specific on the timelines that we hope to hit.
If you need more information about what's going on in the City of Holland, also sign up for the My Holland Scroll. That's the monthly newsletter. Go to cityofholland.com, cityofholland.com. Keith Van Beek, Holland City Manager, as always, thank you very much for joining us on Talk of the Town, passing on some information about what's going on in the city. Wish you and everybody at City Hall well. And if all goes well, let's do this again next month.
Appreciate it, Gary.
Thank you very much. Holland City Manager Keith Van Beek. NBC News with Michael Kastner straight ahead, followed by WHTC News and more Talk of the Town, including Brian Spencer's What's New Around Holland. And we'll be chatting with Allegan County Sheriff Frank Baker on WHTC, Holland's Cool FM.